Welcome to the Mindfully Masculine podcast. This is Charles. Okay, so this week Dan and I are finishing one of our last episodes where we discuss Self-Care for Men by Garrett Muntz. And this one's going to be about the space in your house, apartment, dwelling, and how you can optimize that space for your self-care practices. But before we get into that, we are going to have a brief discussion about would you rather encounter a man or a bear if you were out hiking in the woods? And we're going to talk about how many of the ladies are answering that question and how some of the guys are reacting to the way that ladies are answering that question. So I thought it was a useful discussion, and I shared some clips on social media last week from our discussion and got a lot of good comments and feedback, so I appreciated that. All right, enjoy the episode, and please like, follow, or subscribe in your chosen podcast app, or watch our full episodes on YouTube. Thanks.
Good morning, Charles.
Good morning, Dan. How are you doing today?
I'm well.
Good to hear. Feeling healthy, feeling strong?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, got some good sleep last night.
This might be a long one, so good.
We're doing a marathon, all right?
We'll see. We've got one section left of Self-Care for Men by Garrett Muntz, and I'd like to get through the whole thing if possible, but we'll split it in two if we have to.
Sounds good.
Before we jump in, so I know you don't really participate in social media or popular culture, but this last week there's been an interesting thing going on online, a debate where women are answering the question, if you had the choice of being stuck in the woods with a man or a bear, what would you choose?
Okay.
And there are more women are saying a bear than you might initially expect. That's not even the surprising part. The surprising part is how men are reacting to them saying that they would rather be stuck in the woods with a bear.
Okay.
And it's been mostly entertaining for me to watch because I feel like I understand some things that a lot of the guys that are participating in this conversation don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
But so let's talk about it. I would assume, maybe I shouldn't assume, if you were asked the question, would you rather not necessarily be stuck in the woods, but be like you're out in the woods hiking alone and you're surprised by either some guy or some bear, which would you prefer? And my answer, initially I was like, man, it'd be really cool. It'd be exciting to like just be hiking and run into a bear.
Yeah. Because guys you can find anywhere.
Right. Guys you can find anywhere, but bears, they're only in the woods. So, I think the mistake that I see a lot of guys making online is that when they hear the answer of, oh, I'd rather be with a bear, they immediately go into this mode of, this is just a question of statistics and risk mitigation, where if you listen to any women who are expanding on their answer, you understand very quickly that this isn't just a cold discussion about statistics or risk. This is about their personal experience and the experience of other women. And the sort of the analogy I thought of was, and maybe you can identify with this too, we both like dogs and we both like playing with dogs.
Sure.
If I had the choice of playing with a big dog or a little dog, my own personal experience is I'm more likely to get nipped by a little dog than a big dog. And for that reason, I'm not uncomfortable in either situation, but I'm more comfortable roughhousing a little with a pit bull or a German shepherd than I am a schnauzer, even though the bigger dog could certainly do more damage. I've never had an unpleasant experience with a big dog.
Yeah.
And I've had plenty of unpleasant experiences with little dogs.
Yep.
So in that case, if you were just going by the books of in human experience, what's more dangerous to be in a violent confrontation with, a German shepherd or a Chihuahua, then you're going to probably say, oh, just by the numbers, clearly it's a German shepherd. But if your experience has been, I've never had a German shepherd or a pit bull rough me up, but every other little dog I try to play with at some point loses its shit and bites me, then I'm going to be like, give me the big dog.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's where women are coming into this discussion, because very few people have had negative experiences with bears. And every girl you're friends with has some story about some dude acting the way he shouldn't act.
Yeah.
And I think we are dealing with a bit of a specific subset of men, guys who will go online and think, oh, I just read someone's opinion. Now I have an opinion about their opinion and I have to share my opinion. They have to hear my opinion too. That's already a group that is going to be a little more difficult to communicate with. And from the ladies' perspective, it's also a group that's a little more fun to troll and try to rile up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you and get your perspective on it. Yeah, I absolutely understand where they're coming from. And if you try to boil it down to a statistics question, then you're missing the point.
Yeah. I think it just speaks to, I guess, the ignorance of a lot of men to realize the experiences that a lot of women have had. And when they take that approach where they're saying, hey, how could you possibly pick a bear? It really goes to show. And it reminds me of where we heard that story about taking a survey. Somebody came in, took a survey of a bunch of.
I heard about it from you.
Oh, I did. Okay. So yeah. I read it somewhere, and basically a guy comes in and it's a mixed audience and surveys, hey, how many women felt unsafe in the last year? Like where their life was being threatened, they all raised their hand.
Right.
And they said, how about the last month? Most of them kept their hands up and none of the guys had their hands up.
Right.
How many people, right? And at that point, he kept whittling it down until how many people felt unsafe walking from the parking deck into the classroom today. And it was still like half of the women had their hands up and none of the men did. And it was just an eye-opening experience and story for me anyway, in terms of, wow, women feel threatened for like their lives, not like a little scared, but like their life actually being threatened on almost a daily basis. And to try to go through life like that would be untenable to me. Now, again, that's not every woman's experience, but at the same point, it's a lot more than the average guy, for sure. So I think what you had just told me is another way of helping people understand who never really even thought about it, grabbing their attention with that dramatic story of a bear, which you think of this ferocious animal. How could you possibly pick a bear over a guy? Yeah. And like you said, it's your experience with the little dogs.
Right.
And I had that experience too until I started to date some people who had little dogs and they were sweet. I always thought they were nasty. I grew up around big dogs too, German Shepherds specifically. Always sweet. The really big ones, golden retrievers, yes, that's not a ferocious dog.
Right.
But the bigger dogs, even as I've gotten to know pit bulls and stuff like that, they are typically like friendly and happy and lovey, and they're not, unless it's a real threat.
Right.
It's not just, because I'm approaching the owner or I'm approaching the dog. The little ones go nuts. So I can see your point with that as well.
And the other thing that I am bringing into this conversation too, and this is definitely a function of being older and perhaps being therapied, is when, good verb, thank you, when someone answers a question in a way that like just doesn't make sense to you, like, what? I can't believe you're choosing option A instead of option B, then you're either going to default to, okay, either you're uneducated or you're irrational or whatever, or you're going to go the other way and be like, oh, that's curious. I can't believe your answer is this much different than mine. I wonder how's your process so different from mine that you're coming to this answer that I'm not coming to? Like,
how many of those do you see though?
Again, I don't know that those are the people that are driven to reply online to other people's opinions or comments.
Yeah.
But that is one thing that it's, wow, if somebody is coming at a question like that with the exact opposite answer as me, at my best, my reaction to that is, oh, that's really curious. I wonder what goes into the answer for me. I know how I arrive at option man or option bear, but I wonder how they're getting to and then you could conceivably have a useful conversation with somebody to say, oh, that's interesting. I see it this way. I'd love to hear why you see it this other way. Or you can just be like, oh, you're stupid. Oh, you're silly. And it should be this way. And here's why it should be this way. And look, I've lived the majority of my life coming to those conversations the wrong way. Mm-hmm. But it works better. Ted Lasso cliche of be curious, not judgmental. It really does lead to a richer, more successful life in pretty much every facet. If something strikes you as, wow, that's really different from me, you can either look down your nose on it or you can be like, I want to know more. I want to understand this.
Yeah, it just gives you more experience and knowledge to be able to see it from another perspective. And then you can choose. You still don't have to give up your, it doesn't, just because you're listening to somebody else's opinion, doesn't mean you have to agree with it. You can still stick to yours.
Right.
But then at least you know that there are other options, right? And it's nice to be able to have that and to be able to draw from, because down the road, you might run into a similar situation where you could then think of, oh, hey, this is my default. Maybe this is another way I could think about it. And it serves as, it's another tool in your tool belt.
Right.
It's going to serve you down the road.
And that's really the thing that when we talk about validating someone's feelings or validating their opinions, it's not a matter of saying, yes, I now see things 100% the way you see them. It's just saying, I believe that you see things the way you're telling me you see them, and I don't think it makes you crazy. And that's what seems to be lacking in a lot of not just the men-women dialogue in our culture, but just the person-to-person dialogue, is saying, okay, I believe you that you see things the way you see them, and you're not crazy for seeing things different from me. And it feels like you're giving something away when you say that, but you're really not.
No, you're gaining something. If anything, if the other person is willing to take the time and energy to explain it to you, they don't have to do that. And if they're going to that's a gift at that point for you, because they didn't have to take the time and energy to explain it to you.
Right. And a lot of, and I've been in situations where I'm talking to people online that I don't know, where they'll have the opposite view of something. And I'll say, I see things the other way, but I'd love to learn more about why you see things this way. And a lot of the time, because everybody online is so defensive, people will just be like, no, it'd just be a waste of time for me to try to explain it to you. Okay, how's that course going to work out for us in the long term? When somebody comes to you and says,
in a kind way,
and says, I don't see
it'd be different if you were,
but I'd like to learn more.
Yeah,
it's like, I'm not going to waste my time trying to educate you. Educate yourself.
Right.
Well, that's what I'm trying to do.
So, and now, if somebody says that, you've just discredited that answer in my mind, because now
a big part of my brain is going to go, okay,
through that.
Yeah, exactly. A big part of my brain
One
is going to
question,
be like, okay,
and you're offended.
This person they don't actually know why they think what they think.
Or what used to bother me when I was online was somebody would then completely change the subject and attack me personally, or make me feel like I'm less than or a bad human being or a bad member of society because I didn't do this the way they want. And it was like, okay, wow, now you've completely discredited yourself because you can't even defend or explain why you said that initially. You immediately went on the attack. And
I've experienced that plenty of times where some account that I follow posts something and I disagree with it in a respectful way. The next guy underneath me has gone to my Instagram profile, looked at it, and decided to make fun of something in one of my pictures. Yeah. Instead of responding to the point that I tried to make, he'll go and just, okay. And in those cases, I wouldn't say I never bounce back at him, but I usually don't, because it's like, what am I doing wasting my time?
Yeah.
Discourse is just, we're not good at it. Like we used to have to be good at it, because it's like when you got to do a disagreement with somebody, the next week you're still going to him to have him resole your shoes.
Yeah.
So you couldn't just be a jerk and walk away, because the people you were exposed to were people who actually were in your life. But now I'll never have another interaction with this person again, so I might as well try to make them feel as bad as possible, as quickly as possible, and just turn my back and walk away, or block them when I'm done.
Yeah. I remember I thought it was a little bit of an overreaction about bullying in schools and things but now that I thinking about it, it's just transferred into adulthood. Now there's just adult bullies online, and they enjoy making people feel bad. To me, that's bullying, and it's just so many negative consequences on so many levels.
Yeah, and
if you're gonna live your life that way.
Yeah, thinking about bullying, I remember there was one kid in my 6th grade class he was a bit of a bully to me and some other kids. He was only in one of my classes. I think we had 6 or 8 classes in 6th grade where we would go from classroom to classroom, teacher to teacher. I saw him once in one of my classes. Now, bullying can be a 24/7 job for somebody with social media and texting and all that kind of stuff. If you decide to fixate on some kid and you want to make him or her feel bad all the time,
you have so many more resources to pull from.
Yes, and you can use those resources to make a team of you and the other bullies, and you can gang up on people, and you can send them messages in the middle of the night. There's all kinds of ways you can screw with people now that you and I just did not have to deal with.
Yeah.
And I can see why having policies in place to mitigate that is essential now, where maybe it wasn't as much. It would have been nice even when we were younger to have somebody in your corner to calm things like that down, but especially now.
Yeah, or just call it out. Like I felt like teachers they just didn't. Yeah, they didn't give a shit, or they just, I don't know.
Yeah,
ignored it. Had other things on their minds. Who knows?
Yeah.
I feel like it happened a lot for teachers to have said things. I don't know. Or maybe in the situation, the teacher wasn't around. Maybe the teacher's out of the room, and that's when it all happened. I don't have a vivid memory.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't remember what the exact circumstances. In the moment, yeah, you certainly feel like you're alone and nobody has your back. Why is that? Because they didn't care, because they were too busy, because the class size was too big, they had too many other obligations.
Yeah.
Who knows? But yeah, I feel like effective programs to get in the way of that are very helpful and very necessary. And it's just telling kids to toughen up is not the answer.
Yeah. Now the kids are seeing the parents, and they're able to see role models or examples of adults bullying other adults too.
Oh, so sure. Yeah.
They never saw. We didn't see that.
That's true. Yeah.
And on being online, they can see all that.
Yeah,
and they can hone their practice of bullying because they can see.
Yeah, even being involved in sports when I was young, the stories you hear now of parents losing their minds at umpires and coaches, and that never happened when I was a kid.
Rarely.
I would never hear some parent in the stands screaming about a call or anything like that. It was really only when I got older and I wasn't playing Little League or anything like that I started hearing stories about that. Like, that's crazy. I can't believe, like, the proper response to that is you get shunned by your community when you behave that way.
Yeah.
And now we don't, even though your kids play t-ball, that sense of community isn't what it was back in the 80s when you and I were playing sports.
And a lot of times the coach, if somebody did say a comment or whatever, our coach would have a talk with the parent afterwards.
Yeah.
And they're always, but it was few and far between.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't remember it ever happening in my case, but yeah, it's interesting how the world has certainly changed, and not always for the better. Okay, let's get into the material here. This section is on space. And so we're going to talk about mostly where you live, but not exclusively that. So he's going to talk about how we can integrate our self-care practices into the place we live. And he goes room to room in this first section, what you can do in different areas. So we'll talk about the living room first. He does suggest that you emphasize comfortable and convenient seating that will encourage conversation. And I can certainly agree with that. He also does mention using furniture that's proportionate and not just, I think guys would have a tendency to overpopulate a smallish room with big, stuffy, plush, comfortable sofas and recliners and things like that. Where he's right, that, and TVs too. You can definitely go too big with your sofas and your chairs and your televisions based on the size of the room that you're in. And the good news is it's pretty easy to go online and say, okay, for a living room that's this size, what size sofa, love seat, chair, television should I have, without it looking, because it will look stupid if you go either way too big or way too small on the scale of your furniture. And it'll also feel weird too.
Yeah.
Like I've been in some very small apartments of friends of mine where they had this huge plush leather monstrosity, and it's just, it doesn't look right to me.
Yeah. In my last house in New Jersey, I did that. I actually had a couch. It was like, they had all the pieces, but it didn't fit perfectly in the way. And it was like a sectional.
Yeah.
And so like I ordered special parts of it because it was this huge thing where you could put it all together, and it was almost like an entire, like a bed for the entire room. And it was like this, I made it into this LU type thing.
Yeah.
And it was just way too big. You couldn't even walk around and get up off of it. And it was just, and a mistake I made for sure.
Yeah, I have done the same thing in small places too, where both on the TV side and on the furniture, on the seating side, where it's just, I want a big, cushy, comfortable sofa. And it was just in a place that was way too small for that scale.
And what he's recommending in this book is the exact opposite of what most people do and what I did, which was make sure that every seat in the living room can see the TV. And the picture he's got in the book here, they're all facing kind of each other, the seating, the couch, and the two chairs. And the TV's off to the corner. And it's a little bit better for conversation and maybe even like board games and things like that, kind of detach you from that entertainment.
Yeah,
The thing is, though, if you don't have a lot of visitors over, and I really don't, and I know you don't that often, it's like, all right.
Who am I doing this for? Am I doing this for the visitors I never get, or am I doing it for me?
Or am I doing it for the book here for Garrett?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I would say if you have enough space for it, which obviously I don't, I'm a full-time RVer, but if you have enough space for it, I love the idea of a formal living room and a home theater where you've got, like, where the formal living room is where you meet your guests, where you have coffee or tea in your little conversations.
Yeah.
And then a separate room where it's, okay, this is where we go when it's time to watch a movie or TV show or whatever. I like the idea of being able to separate those two. But again, you need a fairly large house to be able to make that happen. So at the very least, what you can do is have a modest sized television in a corner that is, and not even modest size, but an appropriate sized television in the corner where everybody's attention is not drawn straight to. Because again, if you've got a fireplace to look at or a TV, it's going to be much more relaxing to have a fireplace going while you're chatting with your friends than having sports on or the TV Guide channel on the TV in the background.
Yeah.
Set the lighting. This is something I learned from my ex-wife, because when I grew up, my parents did it the cheap and easy way, which is every ceiling fan has a light fixture, and that's all you need. Boom, there you go. Where it makes people look awful. It makes the room look awful. Just having that big, bright light directly overhead is the worst. And so if you can figure out a way to have floor lamps and table lamps and sconces instead of just one super bright bulb in the middle of your ceiling, then you will find the people in the room look better. The stuff in the room looks better. Everything looks better when it's not just one giant bright bulb in the middle of the ceiling.
What are you saying about my dining room?
Is that what your dining room?
It is. It really.
I haven't really noticed.
Yeah.
We rarely have the light on in there, though, don't we?
We do. It's but it gets a lot of windows.
That's true. You get a lot of natural light too.
So it's not quite as bad, but at night it's terrible.
Yeah, I could see how that would be. But again, it's like, then what are you going to do? It's in that case, you would have to do probably floor lamps.
Floor lamps.
Yeah, and those have their own inconvenience.
I did recently take that TV out of there. I don't know if you noticed. But
no, I didn't.
I donated it.
Oh, nice.
I was using it as a
while you're eating. Okay.
And so I took it out of there. I was like, oh, you know what? I'll cover it with a sheet. I did that for a while. I'm like, that looks terrible. I'm like, it's probably almost a 20-year-old TV at this point. It's like a heavy LCD TV.
Oh yeah.
So I donated it the last weekend, and it was great. I'm glad to get it out of there, and I've got a lot more room on the table now.
Yeah, TV
excited for that.
Almost everybody has a TV in the living room, but TV in the dining room, that put you in some rarefied air there. I don't know a lot of people that had a TV in their dining room.
When we were kids growing up, my mom had a TV in her room, and it would open up into the dining room, and we could turn it. She had a little turntable, and it was only a 13-inch TV, but we would sit there and watch it while we ate, and it was
back to the
conversation.
We can watch Gleason while we eat.
Yes. Yeah, not good. But because of that, I'd wolf down food without even realizing it. Talk about anti-mindfulness eating.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's a good point. I do most of my eating in front of my computer. Again, I'm at a bit of a premium for space, but I feel like I give myself a pass on that, because with my space for food storage and for food prep being as small as it is, I have to be very mindful when I'm shopping for the food and when I'm cooking the food. Yeah, I don't feel like me zoning out while I'm eating is a problem, because I'm only cooking good, nutritious food for myself pretty much in quantities that are reasonable in my place. So I'm doing the heavy lifting and the mindfulness when I'm buying it and when I'm cooking it. So when I'm eating it, I'm just going for it.
Yeah.
I've not noticed any negative consequences.
Yeah.
But if I do, then maybe I'll consider switching it up. So this next part seems slightly tone deaf on Garrett's part. Rugs, not carpet. Instead of installing wall carpet, which can mask sounds but hold on to allergens, go for hardwood floors. And I'm like, okay, so how many of the guys reading this book are in a position where they're just deciding what kind of flooring they want? It's, okay, either you're living with your parents, or you're living with a roommate, or you're living with your spouse, or you're just renting a place. It's okay. Even if you live in your own house that you own free and clear, how many of you are going to read a book on self-care and then start pulling up your flooring and making different decisions based on what this guy in the book tells you to? I get the idea of make the best of what you have available to you.
Yeah.
But really, you should go with hardwood floors. It does seem a little condescending to the vast majority of people that are probably reading this book. Did that jump out to you at all when you read it?
No, it didn't. Because I feel like, I don't know, I didn't really take any of this stuff seriously. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, that's fair.
yeah.
I definitely do approach most of the books we review with a more critical eye of, what? Why did he say that than you do? But yeah, I did think that was interesting. I do agree. Aesthetically, I would prefer the look of a hard flooring surface with some nice rugs on it. I think that looks nicer. Acoustically, certainly somebody being in the podcast recording business, lots of hard floor covered by lots of soft textile is a better option for us. That's why in this room we're using a pretty big area rug to cover most of the flooring. We also have all these curtains hung up. But yeah, I'm not anti-carpet. Certainly I'm anti-carpet in the bathroom. That's gross. I would never want. I've had a couple friends who have had purely plastic-based carpets in their bathrooms.
Okay.
It still seems gross to me though.
Yeah.
I don't want to be sitting on the toilet and feeling something furry on my feet.
Other than your cat?
Other than it's just gross to me, so I would not do that. But I get why he would say there's value in that.
I'm not going to rearrange the furniture in my house and put down. I might.
You might rearrange the furniture when we get to the section of Feng Shui, though.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, I might get a couple of lamps, but yeah, a big undertaking like changing out your flooring because it's not going to.
Yeah,
unless it's disgusting. Right? I was in a position where it's just like, gotta get rid of this carpet because it's old and disgusting anyway.
Instead of putting down another wall-to-wall carpet, maybe I'll switch to something else.
Maybe read this paragraph.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Maybe open up to some other options.
Yeah, I like that idea. He does say get some real art, and by real art, he's basically saying not movie posters and not record sleeves. He's talking about
stuff that I hung on my wall when I was in high school, you mean?
Same. Yeah, I would say, you can certainly have your own pictures that you've taken on your camera or even your high-end phone. You can have those blown up and printed out professionally and matted and framed. Or you can just go find, the one thing I would be careful of is don't just assume that any picture that you have is going to be able to be blown up to a large size and look good, because
that resolution.
Yeah, exactly.
Really high resolution.
High res. If you're going to go big, it's got to be high res. Otherwise, it's going to look blocky. And it's funny, you and I, we still will occasionally attend conferences and conventions, and they always hand you a program that has a schedule and stuff. And it's like still, even today, some of the ads, like full page ads you'll see, people will be using low quality art, and you'll be able to see that it's blocky and pixelated. And how much worse would that be if you had it on if you paid $70 to have it printed out and you hung it on your wall and it looked pixelated and nasty.
So I did get that done. I have a picture that I took and I wanted it huge. I wanted it. Mm-hmm. And a lot of these sites now will actually not actually.
Based on the size you select, they'll tell you not high enough.
Correct. And I got denied for the request I had for the size. And I wrote to them and they said, we can do it, but it's got to be a lot smaller. And so based on the resolution. So you can't go wrong, I don't think, these days with trying to get these things blown up.
Yeah, I would imagine most photo printing sites are probably
because you're going to get it's going to be pixelated. They're going to
you're going to want your money back. Exactly. You're going to complain. So they're going to be out. Yeah, that is. Yeah, so if you're printing it on your own, or maybe just taking it to Office Depot or Staples, maybe they won't say, no, we won't do this for you.
Yeah.
But it's a question you should definitely ask, because you don't want to get stuck with something on your wall that looks like...
But it's nice if you have one of your own pictures that you're able to blow up.
Yeah, I had a couple of my house in Deltona. They were my own shots that I had taken. And
with like a DSLR, though?
Yes, they were DSLR.
I was going to say an excuse to buy something new for you.
That's true, yeah. But now, more modern, the higher-end phones from Google, Apple, and Samsung, they've got what it takes to take some pretty big... You can get some pretty big prints based off of the stuff in your phone.
That's true. I just upgraded.
Yeah, there you go.
iPhone 2.
All right, so yeah, some decent art on the wall can definitely upgrade things. The other thing is you can go to like art festivals and you can find stuff...
Great idea.
Pretty cheap, but that's like actual paintings, not just prints of other people's paintings. You can find stuff that you like and just buy it and put it up on your wall, and a lot of them don't charge a whole lot of money for their stuff.
We get them at farmers markets too.
Yeah, that too, yeah.
That stuff, yeah.
All right, let's move to the kitchen. So in the kitchen, you want to keep things as organized as you possibly can so that you're not always having to dig through inconvenient cabinets and drawers to find stuff. You want to keep your refrigerator clean because... a gross refrigerator makes your food look and seem and possibly taste unappetizing. So be sure to every so often clean out your fridge. I've got a small refrigerator that needs to be defrosted occasionally. So whenever it's time to defrost it, I also give it a nice deep clean.
With a chainsaw. Yeah, I know how you like to clean your fridges.
That is how I dispose of my old refrigerators, Dan. That's not how I clean them. Okay, let's see. Upgrade your dish soap. That's another thing he recommends, is have a scent of soap that you like. Or in my case, I like my dish soap not to have a scent. So I go fragrance and dye-free for my dish soap because I don't want it to smell like anything.
It's amazing what smells can do for you in terms of your mood and your attitude. So I think that, yeah, if it smells lemon, if you're associating lemon fresh with clean, then get that lemon scent soap. And it's a better experience. All the little things to grease the wheels to get you to do the thing you don't want to do, get it done.
Yes. So one thing I definitely, in my kitchen that I have scented is my trash bags. I use Glad trash bags that have a Clorox lemon scent to them. And yeah, it does, because garbage is going to smell like garbage smells. But if you have that Cloroxy lemon scent, it doesn't feel as gross when you walk past the garbage can as it might otherwise. Now, there's a lot of scents that they put on trash bags. I think, I don't want to smell vanilla plus garbage. But for whatever reason, citrus always smells clean to me. I think most people. Yeah. And yeah, I like my lemon scented garbage bags.
Big difference maker for me in the kitchen has been getting towels dedicated for certain purposes. And I have one for only wiping the counters. I keep it on the counter so that if there's a little couple of crumbs, whatever it is, I just use and only those type of towels for the crumbs on the countertop and just sweeping them up real quick with that. Having it on the countertop is a lot easier than even keeping it hanging on a shelf or a little hook, because it's right there. So it's a lot easier to get that done. I have another set of towels that are only for drying my hands and another set of towels that are only for drying dishes.
Nice.
And I keep them right where I'm going to be using them. And I have, the same style for each one of those. And that's the only purpose I use it for. And it's a lot easier to keep things clean and neat and tidy as you're cooking, as you're using the kitchen, things like that. So it's not like an overwhelming pile that you got to clean up right before a guest comes over.
Yeah, nice. I like that. And like we've talked about before, when you can make those systems and those habits that easy, then it moves it from the real expensive part of your brain to the cheaper part of your brain. And that's, yeah.
Then you don't even notice.
Yeah,
really
exactly.
Don't even notice. That's the point.
He does recommend, if you've got some space, to put a small table and chairs in your kitchen, because then you've got a place to sit and eat that's not as formal as your dining room and also not as informal as you're sitting in front of your TV in your living room. I think most people probably have a small table in their kitchen if their kitchen has space for it. Okay, let's go to the bedroom. He does recommend getting more or better pillows. And this is something that I'm about to do myself, so I used to always have 4 pillows on my bed, and it turned out to be a little excessive for me. And so I got rid of 2 of the small pillows, and got a body pillow. And now I realize the body pillow is just too big. It's too big and it's too overstuffed for me. And so I think I'm going to go back to, I'm either going to go to 3 pillows or I'm going to go back to 4 pillows, because the one in the body pillow spot, or maybe I'll get just one king size pillow instead of a body pillow. Because, yeah, the body pillow, it's too much. It's too big, takes up too much space. It's not comfortable for me. So I think I just did my sheets yesterday, laundry-wise. And when it came to putting the cover back on, the pillowcase back on the body pillow, I'm like, man, I'm not gonna do this.
Yeah, I tried the body pillow, same experience. And for me, it was I swap back and forth depending on the side. So if I'm tossing and turning, I'm rarely on my back. I'm on either side. And I couldn't drag that heavy body pillow very easily over from one side to the other, whereas
not when you're half asleep.
Right,
yeah,
king size pillow goes like between my knees, no problem, goes right over.
All right, I think that's what I'm going to do then. I'll just get one. I'll get one king size pillow, one king size pillow case, and then do an experiment, see if I like.
There you go.
If worst case scenario, I switch back to 4 normal size pillows, and then I'll just do that. But yeah, I was disappointed that the body pillow really does just seem it takes up too much real estate. I don't need that much space to be opened up. Okay, invest in sheets. We talked about sheets and sleep health earlier in this book, where He recommends linen and bamboo both, and I'm really on the fence of whether I'm due for another set of sheets, and I don't know if I want to spend the money on the sheets, the bamboo. Like the highest rated bamboo sheets on Amazon are $89, which doesn't seem like a lot of money. I don't use a flat sheet. I only use a fitted sheet, and I use a duvet cover on my, and so it's okay. Right off the bat, I'm throwing almost half of it in the closet or the cabinet. I'm never using the fitted sheet, so that makes it even harder for me to drop $89 on a sheet set.
It doesn't include pillowcases?
It does include pillowcases, yeah. So you get 2 pillowcases, a flat sheet, and a fitted sheet. And yeah, there's a lower rated one for $69, but what seems to be the best bamboo sheets in the RV mattress size are $89. And I'm trying to decide, do I do that or do I just go with the 100% cotton sheets I've been using for a while, just in a different color for $39, $40? And I don't know. The other thing is I've never used bamboo sheets before. I'm worried I won't like them. And yeah, and I'm not super sweaty already. It's not like that breathability. I don't know that I absolutely need it. These are all the things that I'm just kicking around in my head trying to decide what to do next. What are your sheets made out of?
Some sort of spandex cotton thing. It's something from a Sleep Number where they're specifically made for.
But those are more than $89.
They are, but they definitely cool you off.
Yeah,
without a doubt. And it's not one of those where they say it does, and no, it absolutely keeps me cooler. And that's always been an issue for me, is sleeping too warm. So I will only buy those sheets. They're freaking expensive as hell, but I sleep better on them. I even bring them to see my family and stuff like that.
Really?
Or to hotel sometimes. I'll bring that. At least the pillowcase makes the biggest difference for me.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Definitely keeps my head cool and dissipates the heat really well. So
all right, maybe I should
called Orthotex or something like that.
Maybe I should give bamboo a shot then. I don't know.
Are you having a problem? Do you feel like you're hot and sweaty in the cotton?
No, but I feel like things could always be better. Maybe the result, I wouldn't have to put my thermostat as low.
Yeah.
If because I told you a few episodes ago, I've zeroed in on 64 degrees is where I like my thermostat. And, maybe if I had cooler sheets, I wouldn't have to be quite so.
So you can make up some of that $40 difference there.
That's true.
Over the course of the year in the thermostat.
It would take a while, though. Because I've got such a small space.
Right, it's like $3 a month. But if you're not super happy with the cotton, I would definitely try the bamboo. Or at least maybe go to a store where they have bamboo sheets so you can at least feel them before you.
That's not a bad idea. Yeah, because I know what I don't like is microfiber. I've experimented with the polyester microfiber before. And when I first got my RV, that was almost all you could find in RV queen size sheets was microfiber. And trying to find just legit 100% cotton was difficult. And yeah, the microfiber I don't like. Flannel I like a little bit in the colder time of the year, like a light flannel, because it's very soft and fuzzy. But yeah, for most of the year in Florida, having something that is breathable and cooling would be nice. All right, I'll try. The other thing is the bamboo ones I'm looking at don't come in very many colors. I think they come in 3 colors: light gray, light blue, and white. And I guess I was wanting to go with an ivory sheet this time, but the white would probably still work. Because with white you can bleach, which with other colors. All right, you convinced me. I'll order them. Okay, let's talk about in the bedroom. In addition to sheets, he recommends table space, like night tables in your room, which I could not make do without. I want to be able to, I want the flexibility to have a drink next to me, even if I don't actually have one there. I want to be able to have a book and a drink and a lamp right next to me when I'm sleeping. Yeah, I know there are some guys that will just set their stuff on the floor next to them, and you're gonna have a lot more accidents and messes when you do that. And especially if you add a cat or a dog in the mix, then yeah, I would say
get up in the middle of the night. My feet have knocked stuff over.
Yeah, and even very small night tables are out there and inexpensive. Amazon, Big Lots, Target. There's places to get cheap functional furniture. So I would say, and plus you've probably seen jokes online about guys who just have their mattress right on the floor.
Yep.
And maybe a light plugged in that's also right on the floor. And yeah, women in particular will look down on that
Yeah.
because it just looks.
I did do that in college.
Yeah, so did I. But it's same as a bushy beard or an outfit that doesn't look like you put any effort into it. Just the fact that you are not doing everything as easy as you possibly can all the time, that does create attraction and respect in other people. So if you can have your sleep area look like you've invested a little bit of money and a little bit of effort into it, it will look far better than just, I dropped things on the floor and they landed where they landed.
Yeah. Yeah. What you say is how you do some things is
how you want things is how you do everything.
Right?
Yeah. If you've not put any work into your house, people will assume that you are probably not putting very much work into your career or your personal relationships either.
Yeah.
Whether that's accurate or not, these are the assumptions that we make. And we make those assumptions because they're often accurate.
The analogy that I've probably beaten to death is, if you're looking for some help around the house to fix up your house, you're not going to go to the neighbor who's got the house with broken windows and door that's chipping paint and everything else like that. You're going to go to the neighbor who has a beautiful house, a beautiful garden, everything else, because they take care of it. You're not going to go to somebody who doesn't have their act together. And the same thing is when you're dating somebody or you're with somebody, even as a friendship, whatever, there's going to be like a two-way street, a mutual exchange of energy and support and everything else like that. Whereas you walk into somebody's house and the bed is on the floor and
no frame, no headboard,
no frame, no other furniture in the place or whatever. Oh my gosh. Like, are they somebody who I feel could be beneficial in a mutual beneficial relationship with, friendship or otherwise? Or is this going to be like, are they going to be leaning on me all the time for stuff? And it's something to think about.
Yeah,
how you conduct.
We talk about it all the time about, being a thinking human being is expensive. And so we always are looking for shortcuts. Like, what can I look at that will do some of this heavy lifting cognitively for me so that I don't have to think everything through? And look, the way you dress, the way you groom, the way you live, these are things that other humans will use as shortcuts to try to figure out what you're about so that they can know it before they're super heavily invested in you.
Yeah. And I'm not saying here you need to have the best of the best. You need like bamboo sheets and all this stuff. Just have the basics. So where you look like you're at least on I feel like I don't even know what to say, like as a normal level, but just something where it doesn't look like you're struggling in some way.
Yes.
Right. I don't know how to describe it other than that.
Yeah. I would say even just most of us have had the experience of staying in a hotel and just look at the kinds of furniture and the way hotels look the way they do, because every day people are deciding whether to spend their money to sleep there, right? And if your own bedroom looks dramatically different from what a clean hotel looks like, then you can expect people are going to react to that. What's going on here?
And especially if you have your act together, like you've got a job and there's no real reason for that. If you are, let's say, homeless and you're just getting back on your feet.
Sure, of course.
Okay, so there's but then it's, why is this person who presents themselves, they've got a job, they seem responsible in all these other areas, now they're living in this way, they don't have this act together. Now it's, do I really know this person? And now the little bit of level of trust is in question.
Yeah.
Right? And then why, like you said, what's going on here? Why is this happening?
Yeah, no, that's
and where could this also be happening in other parts?
Like this doesn't jive with the story that I've told myself about this person.
There's no reason why he can't have at least a hotel room level bedroom.
Exactly. Yeah, and I would say you could apply that to other things too. If somebody checks a lot of the other boxes, they have a job, they have a personal life as far as hobbies and interests that you find attractive, but then either the car they drive is just really messy, mechanically really unsound, like really not just old, but old and beat up. Mm-hmm. It's okay. You're going to look at that and say, or they don't drive at all.
What's going on?
It feels like there's a missing piece of a puzzle. And now I'm curious. And now I'm wondering, I feel like I don't know something that I need to know. And so, there's just a minimum amount of effort that you need to put into all parts of your life so that people can feel like you've got a cohesive, balanced life.
And I agree. And I think this book gives a lot of tips on how to get to that minimal level.
Yes, I agree.
And then and beyond if you wanted to.
Because, it's objectively true that for most of us, a mattress that is just dropped on the floor may not sleep much better than a mattress that is on top of a box spring in a bed frame.
100%.
I mean, it might be the difference between a night of sleep that's a 93 versus a 95 on a scale of 100. It may not be a difference that you notice, but there's probably no area of your life where you are only 100% practical. There are matters of taste and aesthetic are going to influence what you order for dinner in a restaurant, and they're going to influence how you keep your house. And so all we're saying is, yeah, this is something that is going to make you feel better about your space and is going to make other people feel better about you, that you put effort into your space. Okay, let's talk about putting your clothes away. That's another thing for your bedroom. Don't let your bedroom look like a clothing bomb went off inside. Every time I think about this, I'm reminded of, there was that show on, I think it was TLC, that Adam Carolla hosted, Catch a Contractor, where it was all about these families that like hired a contractor to come do some work on their house, and then they never finished the work. It just disappeared. Ooh. And so they would run these sting operations where Adam would find the contractor and try to figure out why they left the person high and dry.
Oh, that's great. I never saw that.
Yeah, it was pretty entertaining.
Oh, especially with Corolla.
Yeah.
Sure.
And one time he was in his house where, the contractor screwed him over, didn't finish a project.
Yeah.
And he opened the door on one of their spare bedrooms, and it was just clothes everywhere. And he said, he made some joke to the effect of, I wouldn't expect for a house this small to have its own walk-in hamper. Just the phrase walk-in hamper. Whenever I think about a clothes-based mess in somebody's house, walk-in hamper is what pops into my mind.
I am so taken.
Yeah. And yeah, the basic idea is, and look, there's plenty of us who will joke about how it takes a half hour to wash your clothes, takes an hour to dry them, and takes 7 to 10 business days to put them away.
True, though.
I do that.
Oh my God.
Yes.
I have laundry baskets full of clean clothes, and the worst part is they'll get wrinkled sitting in there.
Exactly. So you got to run through the dryer again.
And
yes. Yep.
How am I going to learn my lesson?
Yeah, I've gotten better at that since I do not have my own washer and dryer in-house, because I have to pay at the laundromat.
You don't have the room to let the baskets of laundry sit around anyway.
That too, because I own one basket.
Yeah.
And when I do laundry, that basket's job is to take my laundry from my camper to the laundromat, and then to take the clean clothes from the laundromat back to my camper. And then it becomes my hamper after I take the clean clothes out of it and hang them up or put them in the drawer. Then that basket is now my hamper again. So if I leave clean clothes in the basket, then I've got no place to put my dirty clothes except on the floor.
Hey, anybody out there who wants to learn to live efficiently, go and stay with Charles for a couple of weeks.
No,
and you are going to get some really efficient habits ingrained in you that you can bring back.
Yeah, there's just so many of these. There's no other option. It's either you're picking stuff up or I'm tripping over things. Those are my only two choices. Yeah. And so I prefer not to trip over things. Okay, he does reference double blinds, meaning basically he's saying make sure that in your sleeping space you are able to eliminate stray sources of light that could get in the way of you having an uninterrupted good night's sleep. And yeah, I only have blackout drapes on all of my windows, because especially if I'm not feeling well and it's going to be harder to sleep anyway, I want to be able to close everything, make my space as black as night as possible, and be able to sleep without worrying, oh, my neighbor happened to come home late from work or late from his night out, and so at midnight I'm getting high beams coming through my window. I don't want to put up with that.
Yeah, I use eye mask and earplugs. I shut it all down as much as possible, and I mouth tape. I close all the holes.
The mouth tape is something I need to experiment with. I've not played with it yet.
Yeah, breathing through my nose, definitely. Yeah, I sleep better. Definitely.
And you're not worried about, like, at some point you're going to feel like you can't breathe or anything?
Oh, it's happened. Oh, plenty of times. Oh, yeah.
Ugh. Oh, I don't like that part of it.
But I wake up.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's 2 or 3 times a year. And usually I get a little bit of stuffy nose over the course of the night. And so then everything starts to, I stop. The breathing gets to be a challenge. And it does wake me up. It's not like I pass out or whatever. But when I do wake up, it's one of those.
Unpleasant to me.
But it doesn't happen very often. And I think it's more than worth it.
Okay. Maybe I'll try. I'm
not using like duct tape where...
Right, you're using real stuff.
It's just one small little strip of medical grade tape
that
will separate on its own if you pull your...
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay.
It's not like I need to rip it off or anything. It's You just gotta.
Yeah, I am. That reminds me, I'm preparing for this trip to Europe where I'm going to be sleeping in hostels the whole time and building my Amazon list of all the things that I want to order before I go. And I'm going to order one eye mask that like really covers this much of your face and also has Bluetooth speakers built in.
Nice.
So that in case there is somebody in the bed next to me, sawing logs real loud or something, I could turn on either some nature sounds or there's a lot of different noises out there now too. Pink noise, green noise, brown noise, white noise, lots of different noises. And so I'll have access to that. Then I'm also buying a 3-pack of just much lighter too. And I'm going to take all 4 of them with me. I'm going to take the one that has Zeta grade speakers. I'm going to take the 3-pack so that I don't have to wear the same one night after night. I can rotate through them. And I'll probably do some plugs too. I'll bring some earplugs as well.
My suggestion is if you're not used to wearing the eye masks, I would look for ones that have a little bit of an indentation.
Oh, yes.
For your eyes. So that it's not pressing.
So it's not against your lids. Yes, 100%.
That can get really uncomfortable.
Yeah, I've only used, I guess I've used both. I've used the kind where it's just, there's an elastic strap on the back and then, it pushes right up against. And the ones where there's either they're a formed shape where they look like bug eyes a little bit.
Yep.
And they don't actually touch you on your eyelids.
Yeah.
Those are good. 10 times more comfortable.
Yes.
So I definitely recommend those. Yeah. And then for the earplugs, the thing that I'm going with this time is they're just the little foam ones that you crush and then put in your ears and then they expand.
Yeah.
I'm getting ones that each pair is individually wrapped in its own little plastic bag.
Oh, that's a great idea.
So then I don't have to worry about what else is it touching in my toiletry bag or what else is it touching in my clothing bag. Every night I just open it up, use it, and then when I wake up in the morning, I throw that pair away, and every night I'm using a clean pair that I don't have to worry about, ear infections or anything like that.
Yeah. I use a little Ziploc or vitamin bags.
Oh, yeah. You got plenty of those, yeah.
2.5 by 3 inches, and between vitamins and I'll put my earplugs in there.
Yeah.
Anything that I want to keep relatively clean, it works well for me.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, we're about an hour in, and I think we can go ahead and stop for now. And then the next one, we will definitely briefly cover Feng Shui and how much I do or do not believe in it, try to predict where I'm going to come down. Then we're going to go over what you can do in your bathroom to make it better, which bathroom's important because most of the self-care that you engage in is probably going to be in your bathroom. Then we'll talk a little bit about houseplants and candles and which of those I'm willing to use and which ones I'm not. So that's where we're at. I hope you enjoyed this part on managing your space. The one chapter's title or whatever is about basically evolving up from the man cave. And certainly you can engage in self-care in your man cave. If that's a place you can go to relax and chill out and enjoy some of the things you're passionate about. I've never been a man cave guy. Like just basing a room on either sports or video games or hunting or something like that has never really appealed to me. If I had the space and the money, I would have a den or a library way faster than I would have a man cave. But I would say if you've got the square footage, especially if you're an older guy and you don't have kids at home anymore, but you still have a good sized house, think about making one of those rooms that you're not really using much anymore into a space for you to decompress and enjoy the things you enjoy. And depending on who you live with and how much space you have, maybe you can do that, maybe you can't. But I do see value in having that kind of a space. And a lot of the chillest, happiest guys I know, they do have that space where it's not just a home office where they have to work all the time. And it's not just a living room or a family room. It's more of I'm going to decorate this and I'm going to put the stuff in here that I enjoy being around and I enjoy relaxing with.
And you can even do that, and he talks about this, in a corner of a room with a comfortable chair.
Yeah.
Just have things, like for me, I've got a spot where I've got a chair there, but I have a bunch of different types of books and resources. I got journals, I got books that I like to read. Sometimes I'll sit there and meditate or listen to some Audible books, whatever. And so a lot of different personal development stuff, just all in that one little spot there. So you don't even need a whole room,
right,
to basically, but if you have dedicated that spot to getting away from the daily grind of what you normally do and you're doing something relaxing, could also be your wind down spot before you go to bed or when you first get up. It really does make a big difference having that.
Yeah, that's a great point. There've been a couple of places I've been on vacation, either Airbnbs or VRBOs, where all they had was just a really nice, comfortable reading nook, where it was like a very small scale bookcase that they just had books that they left there, a very comfortable chair and a nice lamp. And I was surprised how much time I found on the vacation that I was just sitting in that spot, just picked up a book that they already had there and just sat there and relaxed and read. And yeah, it doesn't take a whole lot of space. You certainly don't need a room. You can just find a corner of an existing room and make that into a nice spot to read or listen to music or listen to podcasts or whatever. And yeah, I like that idea. Okay, cool. So we will pick up next time with some more stuff about your space, starting with Feng Shui. So thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you next time.
All right. Take care.
Wow, you made it through the whole thing. So you must like us at least a little bit, in which case you should definitely follow or subscribe to our show in your chosen podcast app. Thanks. We'll talk to you next time.